The planet Zarkon was a place where war never stopped. Tall mountains and deep valleys were covered in thick purple forests. The air was heavy with the smell of burning metal and smoke. Strange creatures moved through the shadows, and the sky was filled with fast ships shooting glowing beams. It was a world ruled by warriors. Among the many battles, one fight was about to happen that no one would forget. Jack was a human soldier from Earth. He was small compared to the alien warriors around him. His clothes were torn and he had no weapons left. His ship had crashed a few days before and he was lost in the middle of enemy territory. Every day was a fight for survival, but Jack was different from other soldiers. He had a spirit that could not be broken. Even without weapons, he kept moving forward, using his hands, his mind, and his heart. On the other side of the battlefield, Princess Zira stood on a cliff. She was a tall alien with bright blue skin and long silver hair. Her eyes shone like stars. She was the warrior princess of the Zarkon people, trained since childhood to fight and lead her army. She wore armor made of shining metal, and in her hands she held a powerful energy sword. Zira had seen many battles, but this one was different. From the cliff, she could see a lone figure fighting alone against a group of her best soldiers. It was a human. Jack's hands moved quickly. He ducked a laser blast and punched one alien in the face. The alien fell, stunned but not defeated. Another charged at him with a sharp spear, but Jack grabbed it and twisted it until the alien screamed in pain. Jack knew he could not hold them all for long. Still, he kept fighting. Zira's heart beat faster. She watched the human's bravery. How could someone fight so well without a weapon? How could he stand alone against so many? She whispered softly, "I wish he was my husband." Jack's eyes met hers for a brief moment. Time seemed to slow. The princess's gaze was full of respect and something else he did not understand. Then the moment was gone and the battle continued. Jack fought with everything he had. His hands became weapons. He used moves he learned in Earth's martial arts. He grabbed, twisted, pushed, and punched. His body was tired, but his spirit was strong. One alien soldier threw a heavy metal club. Jack jumped back just in time. The club smashed into the ground, sending sparks flying. Jack saw his chance. He ran forward and knocked the alien down. Then suddenly, more aliens appeared from the trees. Jack was surrounded. He did not panic. He looked around quickly. His mind raced for a way out. Zira saw the danger. She felt something she had never felt before. She wanted to help him, but she was a princess and a warrior. Her people were enemies of the humans. Helping Jack could mean war. Still, she could not look away. Jack's bare hands moved faster than ever. He fought like a storm, throwing punches and kicks. One alien charged with a blade, but Jack caught the arm and twisted it. The alien dropped the weapon and cried out in pain. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ground nearby. Both Jack and Zira looked toward the sound. A group of enemy soldiers from a third faction had arrived. They fired lasers in every direction, causing chaos. Jack took advantage of the confusion. He ran toward the trees, dodging blasts and grabbing a thick branch for a weapon. Zira made a decision. She jumped down from the cliff and ran toward Jack. Her sword flashed in the sunlight as she cut down one of the new attackers. Jack turned and saw her. For a moment, they fought back to back, protecting each other from the enemy. Zira was surprised by Jack's skills. His moves were not like any alien fighting style she had seen. They were human, and they were clever. Jack looked at Zira and nodded. No words were needed. Together, they fought through the enemy soldiers, pushing them back into the forest. Finally, the new attackers retreated, leaving the battlefield quiet again. Jack and Zira stood among the fallen enemies. Breathing hard, Zira lowered her sword and smiled slightly. "You are strong," she said in a soft voice. "More than I expected." Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. "I'm not giving up, not here. Not now." Zira looked at him closely. She saw not just a soldier, but a survivor. Someone who could change the future of their worlds. "I wish I knew your name," she said. "Jack," he answered simply. "Jack," she repeated, almost like a prayer. The sun began to set, painting the sky in red and gold. The fight was over for now, but a new story had just begun. Jack and Zira, from different worlds and enemies by birth, had found respect in the middle of war. And somewhere deep inside, Zira whispered again, "I wish he was my husband." The night on Zarkon was dark and quiet. The purple forest seemed peaceful under the stars, but both Jack and Zira knew the danger was far from over. The battle had shown them that stronger enemies could arrive at any moment. Jack was tired and hungry. His bare hands still ached from the fight and his clothes were torn, yet he moved carefully, avoiding open spaces and watching for any signs of danger. He was alone again, except for one thing: the memory of the warrior princess who had fought beside him. Zyra led him through the forest, her blue skin shining faintly in the moonlight. She was cautious but steady. Her people's homes were hidden deep inside the forest, protected by ancient technology and magic. Jack could see strange lights blinking between the trees. "Where are you taking me?" Jack asked quietly. "To my home," Zyra replied. "It is safe there." "You need rest." Jack hesitated. He knew her people were his enemies, but she had saved him, and for the first time since crashing on Zarkon, he felt hope. They walked slowly, the sounds of the forest around them. Strange animals howled in the distance, but no one attacked. Zyra was watching, protecting him. After some time, they arrived at a large cave hidden by glowing plants. Inside, the walls were smooth and bright with colors that shifted like rainbows. It was unlike anything Jack had seen on Earth. "This is beautiful," he said softly. Zyra smiled. "This is where my people live. Not all warriors are cruel. Some protect, some heal." Jack nodded, feeling tired but curious. "Thank you for helping me." Zyra looked at him seriously. "You fought well today, barehanded against many. You have spirit. Tell me, why do you fight alone?" Jack took a deep breath. "My ship crashed here. I'm far from home. I lost my team. I have no weapons, but I want to survive, and maybe someday find a way to go back." Zyra thought for a moment. "Your story is difficult. My people do not like humans. We have fought many battles, but you are different," Jack laughed softly. "Different how?" "You fight not just with strength, but with heart," Zyra said. "That is rare here." Over the next hours, they talked more. Zyra shared stories of her people's history, their wars, and their hopes for peace. Jack told her about Earth, about the stars and the dreams of humans. Slowly, the walls between them began to fall. But peace was not easy. Suddenly, the cave shook. Loud alarms sounded. Zyra's eyes flashed with worry. "Enemy scouts. They found us." Jack jumped up, ready to fight again. Zyra grabbed her sword and led him outside. Outside, dark ships hovered over the forest. Bright beams of light searched the ground. Zyra's warriors appeared, running from hidden places, ready for battle. But Jack noticed something strange. Zyra did not order an attack. Instead, she raised her hand for silence. "We must talk," she said firmly. The enemy scouts landed near the cave. From the ships, tall aliens stepped out. They looked different from Zyra's people. Taller, with dark green skin and glowing red eyes. They were from a rival faction, stronger and more dangerous. Their leader, a tall alien named Varn, stepped forward. "Princess Zyra," he said coldly, "we know you harbor a human spy. Surrender him or face destruction." Zyra looked at Jack. He stood tall, ready to fight. "No," she said. "He is not a spy. He is a survivor," Varn laughed. "You protect a weak human? You dishonor your people." Jack felt the anger rising in his chest. "I am no weak human." Zyra put a hand on his arm to calm him. "We do not want more war," she said, "but we will protect what is right." The two alien factions stared at each other, tension thick in the air. Suddenly, from the shadows, another group appeared, a third enemy faction, fierce and wild. They attacked both sides without warning. The battle was chaotic. Zyra and Jack fought together side by side. Jack's bare hands and quick mind surprised even Zyra. They moved as one, covering each other, fighting with skill and courage. When the fighting finally stopped, both sides had suffered losses. The enemy scouts and wild faction retreated into the forest. Zyra looked at Jack, breathing hard. "We need to join forces," she said. "Alone we will fall." Jack nodded. "Then we fight together." Their alliance was not easy. Many of Zyra's warriors did not trust Jack. Some whispered behind his back. But Zyra stood firm. "He is our ally," she told them. "Not because he is human, but because he fights with honor." Jack knew he had to prove himself every day. He trained with Zyra's warriors, learning their skills. They learned from him too. His ideas and bravery inspired them. Days passed and Jack and Zyra grew closer. Zyra saw in Jack a different future. A future where humans and aliens could stand together. One evening, as they watched the sunset, Zyra spoke softly. "You fought alone with no fear. I was wrong to think humans were weak, Jack smiled. I fight for my home, for my people. But here I fight for you, Zara's eyes shone. And I wish you were my husband. Jack laughed softly, the sound warm and hopeful. Their story was no longer just about war. It was about trust, friendship, and maybe something more. Days turned into weeks on the wild and dangerous planet of Zarkon. Jack and Zira's unlikely alliance had grown stronger, but so had the shadow of a new threat. Far beyond their forests and mountains, an enemy more powerful and ruthless was gathering forces. A force that could destroy not just their two peoples, but the entire planet. Jack stood on the edge of a rocky hill, looking out across the vast landscape. The wind was cold and the sky was a swirling mix of orange and gray clouds. His bare hands clenched into fists, ready for whatever was coming. Zira approached quietly, her steps light but confident. She stood beside him, her silver hair catching the fading sunlight. The enemy grows stronger, she said. Their weapons are unlike any we have seen. Jack nodded. We can't fight them alone. Zira's eyes held a fierce determination. Then we will not. We must unite all who want peace. The two leaders had called a secret meeting with other tribes and factions willing to stand against the coming storm. It was a fragile gathering, filled with old rivalries and mistrust. Yet Jack and Zira knew they had to try. Inside a large cave deep beneath the mountains, representatives from many groups gathered. The air was thick with tension as they discussed plans to defend their homes. Jack spoke clearly, his voice strong but calm. This enemy will not stop until everything is destroyed. If we do not work together, we will all fall. Some of the leaders nodded. Others looked away, unwilling to trust a human soldier. Zira added, we have strength and skill, but we need new ideas, new ways to fight. Jack shared stories from Earth about teamwork and strategy, about how humans had faced great dangers and survived through cooperation. Slowly, walls began to crumble. The groups agreed to unite under one banner, led by Zira and Jack, but the enemy was already moving. One night, while the Alliance rested, scouts reported strange ships approaching. Their weapons glowed with an eerie blue light. These were the forces of the Dark Legion, a ruthless army known across the galaxy for destruction. Jack and Zira prepared their warriors. The Alliance was ready to defend the planet, but they knew the battle ahead would be the hardest of all. As the first ships landed, Jack and Zira led the charge. The air was filled with the sounds of battle, shouts, energy blasts, and the clash of metal. Jack fought with the strength of 100 men, his bare hands striking down enemies with precision and power. Zira moved beside him, her sword cutting through the enemy ranks like lightning. But the Dark Legion was different. Their soldiers were stronger, faster, and equipped with technology that made the Alliance's weapons seem weak. The battle raged for hours. Friends fell, and hope flickered like a dying flame. In the heat of the fight, Jack spotted a massive war machine, a giant walking robot designed to crush everything in its path. It stomped toward the Alliance's center, ready to destroy their command post. Zira saw it too. If that machine reaches our leaders, it's over, she said urgently. Jack didn't hesitate. I'll stop it. Without a weapon, he ran toward the war machine. Bullets and energy blasts flew past him, but Jack kept moving. He climbed up the robot's leg, dodging lasers and crushing steps. At the top, Jack found the control panel. Using every bit of strength and knowledge, he smashed the glowing buttons and wires. Sparks flew and the machine shuddered. Suddenly, the robot froze. Then, with a loud explosion, it collapsed. The Alliance cheered. Jack climbed down, bruised but victorious. Zira caught him in her arms. You are more than a warrior, Jack. You are a hero. Jack smiled, feeling something warm inside. We fight together. The battle ended with the Dark Legion retreating, but the cost was high. Many had fallen, and the planet was scarred. Back in the cave, leaders gathered again. This time the Alliance was stronger. They had seen what they could do together. Zira looked at Jack, her eyes filled with pride. The threat has deepened, but so has our strength. Jack nodded. And we will be ready for whatever comes next. As the stars shone brightly outside, two figures stood side by side, ready to face the future. Their fight was far from over, but so was their hope. The air on Zarkon was thick with tension. The Alliance had prepared as best they could, but the shadow of the Dark Legion still loomed large. Jack and Zira stood side by side, watching as their armies gathered on the wide, rocky plains near the capital city. The ground trembled with the footsteps of thousands ready to fight. Zyra adjusted her armor, her blue skin glowing softly in the early morning light. "This is it," she said, voice steady but filled with emotion. "The future of our world depends on today." Jack nodded, his bare hands clenched into fists. "We've come too far to lose now." Around them, soldiers checked weapons, loaded energy shields, and whispered prayers or hopes. It was a moment of calm before the storm. As the sun rose higher, the enemy appeared on the horizon. The Dark Legion's ships darkened the sky, their war machines moving like a river of destruction. The soldiers of the Alliance held their ground, ready to fight for everything they loved. Zyra stepped forward, raising her energy sword high. "For our homes, for our people," she shouted. The Alliance responded with a roar, their voices echoing across the plains. The battle began. Jack was in the thick of it, his hands moving faster than anyone could see. He dodged blasts, punched enemies, and used every skill he had learned to protect his friends. Zyra fought nearby, her sword glowing with power. She moved like the wind, cutting through enemy ranks with grace and strength. Together, they became a force that inspired hope. But the Dark Legion was relentless. Their war machines crushed everything in their path. Explosions lit up the battlefield, and the ground shook with every blast. Jack saw a group of young soldiers trapped behind a fallen wall. Without hesitation, he ran to help them. Using his strength and quick thinking, he pushed the heavy debris aside and guided them to safety. Zyra noticed Jack's bravery and rushed to join him. "You risk your life for others," she said, her voice fierce. "That is true courage." Jack smiled, tired but determined. "We fight not just for ourselves but for everyone." As the battle raged, the two leaders spotted the Dark Legion's commander, a tall figure in black armor glowing with dark energy. He moved through the battlefield like a shadow, crushing all who stood in his way. Zyra's eyes narrowed. "That man must be stopped," Jack agreed. Together, they moved toward the commander, cutting through enemy lines. The fight was brutal. The commander was strong, but Jack and Zyra's teamwork was stronger. Jack dodged a powerful strike and landed a heavy punch. Zyra followed with a swift slash of her sword. The commander stumbled but quickly recovered, his dark energy crackling around him. The battle between the three was fierce, lighting up the sky with sparks and flashes. Suddenly, the commander unleashed a blast of energy, sending Jack and Zyra flying apart. Jack landed hard but pushed himself up. Zyra was already on her feet, her sword glowing brighter than ever. They exchanged a look filled with trust and strength. Charging together, they attacked once more. Jack grabbed the commander's arm, holding him steady, while Zyra delivered a final, powerful strike. The commander fell, defeated. With their leader gone, the Dark Legion began to retreat. The Alliance cheered, their victory hard-earned but complete. As the dust settled, Jack and Zyra stood together, battered but victorious. Zyra reached out and took Jack's hand. "We have won, but our work is not done." Jack squeezed her hand. "Together we can build a new future." The soldiers around them looked on, inspired by the bond between human and alien. That night, under the stars, Zyra and Jack stood side by side, dreaming of peace and a world where their peoples could live without fear. Their battle for survival had brought them closer, and their story was just beginning. The battlefield was quiet now. The sky was clear and the stars sparkled brightly over Zarkon. The war was over, or at least this war was over. The people of the Alliance had survived and their enemies had fled. Jack and Zyra stood on a hill overlooking the capital city. The city was damaged, but the fires were dying down, and the sound of rebuilding had already begun. Zyra's blue skin seemed to glow softly in the moonlight. She looked at Jack and smiled. "We have done what many thought impossible. We have brought hope." Jack returned her smile, feeling the weight of everything they had been through. "But hope is only the beginning," Zyra nodded. "True. Now we must build a future that all our peoples can share." In the days that followed, leaders from the allied factions gathered to discuss peace. They talked about rebuilding homes, creating trade routes, and sharing knowledge. For the first time in many years, they dreamed of a world without war. Jack and Zyra were at the center of these talks. Their alliance had been a symbol of what was possible when different worlds worked together. One afternoon, as they walked through the city's healing gardens, Zyra spoke softly. "Jack, I once whispered that I wished you were my husband. Today I want to say it out loud." Jack looked at her, surprised but happy. "Zyra, I feel the same." They held hands, their bond deeper than before. The city around them was alive with hope. Children played and artisans rebuilt homes. Farmers worked the fields. Everyone wanted peace. But building peace was not easy. Old fears and doubts remained. Some people did not trust the humans or the aliens. But Jack and Zyra worked hard to bring everyone together. Jack used stories from Earth to teach about trust and friendship. Zyra shared her people's wisdom and strength. Together they showed what cooperation could do. One evening, as the stars filled the sky, Zyra and Jack stood before a crowd gathered in the city square. The people listened as Zyra spoke. "Today we begin a new chapter. Not as enemies, but as friends and neighbors." Jack added, "We are stronger together. We have seen what courage, respect, and hope can achieve." The crowd cheered. It was a promise to a better future. In the quiet moments, Zyra and Jack often sat together, dreaming of what was to come. They talked about their worlds, their families, and the lives they wanted to build. They knew challenges would come, but together, they could face anything. One night, beneath the stars, Zyra looked at Jack and said, "I never thought I would find love in the middle of war. But here we are," Jack smiled. "Sometimes the hardest battles bring the greatest gifts." Their story was one of courage, trust, and love. Two souls from different worlds who stood together when it mattered most. And as the planet healed, so did their hearts. The future was bright, filled with promise. For Jack and Zyra, and for all of Zarkon, this was truly a new beginning.